I don't think many Australians know, but China has the biggest navy in the world. They have more ships than the United States Navy. So they're going to be everywhere, and they are everywhere.
The People's Liberation Army is always on Australia's radar. But this trio of Chinese warships, known as Task Group 107, is a little too close for comfort. Sitting in international waters between Australia and New Zealand, now creeping towards Tasmania, last reported 296 kilometres east of Hobart.
Australia has had frigates both monitoring by sea and by air of the presence in the region of these Chinese vessels.
While the Chinese say they mean no harm, the ship's capacity to cause it is considerable.
Has China explained at all what they're doing here? Not at all. China did not send any old ship, and so in that respect they're sending a message. You know, they sent their most formidable surface combatant, the most powerful sort of destroyer that they've got, the ship that they've built, which is going to be used to protect their aircraft carriers and the like. So that alone is a message.
On February 13, the Australian Defence Force reported that the Chinese destroyer, frigate and replenishment vessel had travelled through Southeast Asia before being sighted in the Coral Sea. By Wednesday 19, Task Group 107 was reported travelling further south towards the Tasman around 277 kilometres east of Sydney. On the morning of Friday 21st, it commenced a series of live fire drills. But it wasn't until a nearby commercial pilot heard an emergency channel broadcast from the Chinese vessels that authorities learned the drills had begun.
At approximately 10 a.m. on Friday morning, a Chinese naval warship broadcast on the International Guard frequency of 121.5 that they were about to conduct a live firing exercise.
At that stage, we didn't know whether it was a potential hoax or real.
Details of that moment were revealed in a Senate estimates hearing.
It was in fact a Virgin Australia aircraft that advised one of our air traffic controllers that a foreign warship was broadcasting that they were conducting live firing 300 nautical miles east off our coast.
Air Services Australia bosses told senators they immediately issued an emergency warning, resulting in the diversion of 49 flights. At least 2 were carrying passengers.
There's a number of flight paths that go, as you'd imagine, from Sydney across to various cities in New Zealand. From Brisbane, they all sort of converge to the southeast there.
The drills didn't breach international law, but typically 12 to 24 hours notice is given to neighbouring countries to warn other ships and airlines to reroute. Australia expected China to honour such protocol, but only a couple of hours' notice was given.
They issued a warning that they were about to, in this case, conduct live firing exercises with very, very short notice, which is highly unusual.
I guess it's a surprise because it hasn't happened before. Certainly just before the last election, we had Chinese military vessels off the coast of Western Australia. And that raises the question, you know, why are we so surprised? We've got a difficult relationship with China. We say it's stabilising, but it's not stable. It's never going to be stable in the foreseeable future.
China accused Australia of hyping up unreasonable accusations.
China's actions will not affect aviation safety. We are deeply surprised and strongly dissatisfied.
But analysts say arguing over high seas semantics is distracting from the bigger geopolitical issue, Australia's strained relationship with China.
We don't object to the Chinese presence. We couldn't object to the Chinese presence because it's not illegal under international law. And in fact, we make use of the same international laws when we sail through the South China Sea, for example. In the short to medium term, China obviously wants to increase its security presence in the Pacific. That could include a military presence. We'd be naive to think otherwise. It's going to be a constant struggle with China in the Pacific, and we just have to get used to that.